Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Dear respected viewers, today in our heart-to-heart session we have Sami Yalavac with us as our guest speaker. Assalamu alaikum to you. And we also have Brother Baturhan as well, who has also joined the discussion. Assalamu alaikum to you as well, brother.
Wa alaikum salam. Thanks for inviting me.
We obviously we're in a situation where we're all at home, we're all in the lockdown, and we have opened our doors to the virtual world so everyone can join our discussions, everyone can view our work at home in their own comfort, and so we decided to bring these discussions to you. Brother Sami Yalavac, I would like you to inshallah introduce yourself, who you are, what you do. I'll give the microphone to you, inshallah.
Okay, inshallah. Thank you very much for inviting me. Assalamu alaikum to all brothers and sisters watching and listening us. Yeah, my name is Sami Yalavac. I'm from Turkey, came to Australia 17 years ago. I have 3 children, 2 grandchildren. As my daily profession, I'm the CIO, Chief Information Officer, looking after technology for Bupa companies in the Australian New Zealand region. Other than being a professional, as I said, I'm a father, grandfather, and a member of the community. So this is who I am.
MashaAllah. So just to throw out the discussion out there, in the current lockdown times that we're in due to the novel coronavirus, how can a Muslim sort of benefit themselves, whilst they're at home, and also benefit the community? It's weird because I'm saying this because how could someone benefit the community whilst they're at home? So it's going to be a bit of irony there, but how can a young Muslim do that?
Yeah, I think as a Muslim, we have to look everything from the Islamic perspective, because what we know that everything in this dunya, in this world, is part of our imtihan, part of our test. If you don't forget this, then every action we will do, considering that imtihan, will be a benefit for us. Regardless of how great the outcomes, it's more about our niyat, our intention, and our efforts associated with that. And what we know that the Quran teaches Muslims to see life's difficult circumstances like these is a test. And the Quran says in the Baqarah, they are temporary hardships to strengthen us. So Allah Ta'ala says this. So we meet with some hardships in life, and it's to strengthen us. Sometimes we lose it, sometimes we win it based on our reaction, not based on what exactly is happening. Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam says that it's very interesting situation, and only specific to Muslims. If a Muslim faces with a good thing, he says Alhamdulillah, showed gratitude, and he wins, she wins. If a Muslim faced with a hardship, he showed the sabr, the patience, and still wins. So regardless of what's happening, because in this world perspective, you can say things good or bad, but for a Muslim, there is no good or bad. There is just a different test in life. And depending on what you are doing, how you are responding, you might be a winner. So I think we should look this situation from this perspective and consider our actions accordingly. Then this will turn to a benefit for us. It's no doubt this is a very unprecedented and tough times. People will inevitably losing their wealth, income, even their lives. It's very hard time, like significant unemployment we are reading on the news across the world, but even in Australia, like significant number of people losing their jobs, significant number of businesses losing their businesses, all their incomes, even like gigantic organizations like we read on the news today for the Virgin Airlines, like going to an administration. So it's not small, it's really big. And the impacts will be very, very long time. So we are not dealing with a trivial, a simple health situation, a simple economic situation. It's a very, very big thing we are facing. So that our reaction, our thinking should be really big as a Muslim, what it means for us, what it means for Muslims, and how we will not just turn this as a benefit for us, but how we can help rest of the world, rest of the humanity, considering these tough times.
Definitely. So I think also like what you said before about, seeing this as also the test, which is, it is definitely a test from Allah for the people. And I think that's how we can benefit ourselves by, turning back to the one who, brought about this test. Because of course, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the owner of the test. So if this is the test, then who else can we turn back to but Allah? So I think, how we can benefit ourselves is turning back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala within our homes. And of course, you don't need to be anywhere special as a Muslim to turn to Allah. You can speak to Allah directly. Alhamdulillah, that's the type of religion that we have as well, which is, alhamdulillah, it's a blessing on its own. We don't have to go to the mosque to connect to Allah. We don't have to go through someone else to connect to Allah, but we just connect to Allah directly, even in our homes.
I'd also like to add onto Samet's point as well. Brother Sami, you were talking about how a lot of us are tested with our wealth. The fact that a lot of businesses are going down and we can't receive this income. Now, that's one of, thank God, as an Australian citizen, it's not one of the biggest tests because we have our health, we have our family, which is obviously much more important. So how can we keep ourselves in check to understand that we're still blessed regardless? And I know this might be a little bit on the spot, but is there any story that we know from the Sahaba or from the Prophet's time that can relate to a sort of similarity where, we were affected by our wealth, but then it was overcome, and then the brightness at the end of it just passed through? I know it might not come to you now, but I just thought of this question as, can we draw similarity to a story? Because there's always something in the Quran or in the Hadith or from the Sahaba that we can draw similarity to.
Absolutely. Look, there are hundreds of things in Sahaba's life and in Quran and Rasulullah's Sunnat for this, and I can share a few of them. At the time of Hazrat Omar is leading all the Islamic world at that time, and they went to the Syria for obvious reasons to tell about Islam and introducing Islam to the people at that time. But when they came close to the Syria area, they learned that there's an outbreak in that area. And after some discussions, Umar decided, radiallahu anhum, return back to Medina at that time. And one of the Sahaba challenged him that, are you running away from Allah Ta'ala's fate, qadar? And his response was light for us, saying that, yes, I'm running from Allah's qadar to Allah's qadar. Because what happened was part of our qadar, part of our fate, and my decision and returning to Medina was also part of our qadar. And we are responsible to make the right decisions, right choices at that time. And whatever we decide to, it is still part of our qadar. So everything we need to look from this perspective, rather than just saying, this happened, we can't do much about it, this is just the qadar, etc. It's also making some brave and calls to make this what's the right thing to react that situation. The other thing is, obviously this is an outbreak, and Rasulullah 1400 years ago told us that when you hear an outbreak in an area, don't go there, don't enter there. And if you are in that area that outbreak exists, don't go out. So he simply described the quarantine rules at that time. And our religion also defines very, very clearly the importance of the cleanness, which we are learning after many, many thousands of years, how to wash our hands, how to be careful on the hygiene, etc. Whereas our religion already offering us doing the wudu, cleanness before the prayer 5 times a day. There is another hadith saying that whoever washes their hands before and after the food will never suffer from the poorness, from any other financial struggle. There are so many other things talking about the cleanness, and the most famous saying from Rasulullah is, cleanness is half of the faith. If you don't keep your cleanness, half of your iman is missing, means it's not completed. So it is a very, very key thing. Everything we are hearing nowadays, we can find similarities in Islam and the relevant recommendations for us.
Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. Also, we do see, the Australian government, of course, telling us to do certain things, telling us to stay away from certain things. What is your points on what the Australian government is telling us? You know, as Muslims, what should we do? Of course, as Australian Muslims, as Australian citizens, firstly, what would your recommendations be? Of course, to follow them. What else would you like to point out on that?
Sure. I think the example I gave, Rasulullah's order, is a very good example of what we need to do. And it's not much different than what the government is offering. So we simply following the Rasulullah's sunnat and the saying many hundreds of years ago. But also there is another principle in Islam in terms of obeying the authority. Because we are against anarchy, we want to be a good citizens, regardless of the management at that time. And as long as we are not asked to do anything against God's will, we are supposed to follow all the orders as it is. And government making these decisions, or the relevant authorities making decisions after a lot of review, a lot of consideration to protect the society. And as a Muslim, it's our responsibility, first of all, looking after ourselves, looking after our loved ones, and looking after the society as well. Because if you are not following these rules, first of all, you are jeopardizing your own health. And secondly, okay, you're going out not being careful means you are carrying these things to your family, your loved ones, which might be much more vulnerable than you, because you might think, I'm young, nothing will happen. But what about the people you are interacting, as well as the society? So I don't think it's optional as a Muslim. Yes. I think it's part of our religion. Make sure we are following these rules very carefully.
And I think coming back to the first question as well, what can we do to benefit the society? I think this sort of answers that as well. It is to stay home. It is to, you know, keep yourself obviously clean, and you know, try not to you know, wander around amongst the communities when you're not supposed to, when you're not allowed to, obviously in these times. I think that sort of answers that question as well. The answer to that is stay at home, do what you know, the government says, do what the authorities say, and that way, as a Muslim, you can benefit the society, the community in that way.
Absolutely. And again, as I said in the beginning, depends on your intention. This might turn to an ibadat for you, actually.
Exactly.
If you do with that thinking.
Yeah. Well, look, some of us are working from home, but a lot of us have a lot of free time. And even for those that are working from home, we may have more free time than we did, you know, just cutting traveling and all of that. What can we do as Australians, but also as Muslims, to make the most of this free time? Obviously, the obvious answers are, you know, practice and get closer with our religion. However, is there any skills we can build on? Is there any activities that you suggest that we can partake in?
Yep. It's a good question, Baturhan. It's a very relevant one. And there are lots of traps actually linked to this as well, if we don't do the right things, linked to the new life. Because the normal life forces us to get up a certain time, going out, and there are lots of things like naturally shape our life. And you just follow that, which is your routine. When you are at home by yourself, you have to create your own routine. And it's very easy to lose your routine, what time you go to bed, what time you're waking up, what you eat, etc. And losing control is quite possible without that discipline. As a Muslim, we have a responsibility to look after our bodies as well as our mental health. So this is why that kind of routine is very critical. And that routine will also allow you not to do the right thing for your body, but for your work, for your family, etc. So I really encourage every brother and sister, make sure you get your routine in terms of what time you are going to bed, what time you are getting up, and be cautious of that free time you mentioned. Yes, we have a time, the travel time as a minimum. We are winning. So many times we actually complain, I don't have time to do this. Let's say reading Quran, or we don't know even how to read Quran. Okay, I don't have time to learn it. I don't have time to read it. I wish I have more time to pray more, etc. This is your opportunity. This is an unbelievable opportunity, a gift in your life, probably at least 2 hours, an extra time. You can do whatever with it, but you have to plan it. If you don't plan it, if you don't make it as a routine, it will not be happening magically by itself. So I think depending on our situation, we all have to decide And it doesn't have to be only religious kind of activities, but you can also think about what that means my family life, what that means my professional life. How can I use this time to improve myself? How can I use this time probably professionally learning new stuff, new skills, as well as the time with family? So let me touch a couple of them. Probably first thing is the religion. I think most of us know how important is the tahajjud, the night prayer. So getting up in the middle of the night, we avoid it because our excuse is, I have to get up very early, etc. It will disrupting my work. This is a perfect opportunity to start exercising that. Or forget about that. If we are missing morning prayers, that's the perfect time. Get the routine and not miss anymore. And you can put extra time to learn and read Quran for your extra praise. They are like given things. The family perspective and the health perspective, again, what time we eat, what we eat, because refrigerator is so close now. Whenever you give a break, it's so easy to trap, go there, take something, snacks, etc. Might be a huge trap. And also, your routine during the day in terms of going out for a walk. Like I have one of my leaders from my team. Every morning he gets up, he irons his shirt, he gets on it, go out and have a half an hour walk and come back to home as if he's arriving at the office. Sit on the office, work on it, give a break, go out, and when he finished the work, go out again, have a half an hour walk, come back to home as if coming from the office. And take the shirt out and turn to normal life, cooking, etc. Sort of not losing. He's one of the example how he's getting that. But from the family perspective, I think this is the most important thing as an opportunity. In home, this is our chance to get the ties much closer with the family. You might be living with your parents. You might be maybe married, living with your partner, your wife, your husband. You might have children. This is your perfect opportunity. How to improve relationship, maximize the time you are spending, and contributing what's happening at home. If you look at Rasulullah's life, he always helped the wives in the households. I don't know how many of you, I'm just talking to the brothers, because most of our sisters already doing like cooking, cleaning, etc. How many of them actively helping them in the cleaning? Maybe you are not that talented on cooking, but at least in the cleaning, tidying up things and washing dishes, helping the vacuum cleaning, etc. And this is your chance, like as a son, just put a little bit extra effort, at least once a week, if you cannot do every day, but most preferably every day doing this. So don't wait anyone to ask you. You are one of the members at that home, contributing whatever the dirt's happening, and just go there and help. They will really appreciate your wife, your mother.
And I think now we, like for example, we can see what happens at home, or we can see what our mothers or wives, or that are housewives, for example, are actually doing at home, and how much effort the cleaning takes, because now we can see it. So I think that will encourage everyone to start helping and putting your part in the household duties as well. I think now a lot of people can visually see it, and there's that thing where how you used to come home and your mom used to say, "Oh, I'm so tired today because I've been doing cleaning," and in your mind it's like, how tired could you possibly get? But now you actually see how tired or how tiring it can be to clean a house, cook, do the laundry and whatnot. And it's a big blessing to actually being able to see it, because now everyone's at home and you can't miss it. So I think it's in our faces now, and everyone should definitely put in their part at home and continue it even once this is all over as well. So it's a really, really good point that you've touched on, Sami Yalavac.
Excellent points. And if anything, it's raising consciousness. One, you're raising self-consciousness, like you said, of your surroundings. And secondly, with this Zoom call, we're raising consciousness on points that, even if we're saying things that seem like common sense, if I was watching this right now, I'd be like, oh, am I forgetting this? Brother Sami just said, helping your wife, with this, and we can see this in the Prophet Muhammad. Maybe listen to this in a lecture 20 years ago, but now it's reoccurring, and this time allows you to really, see that once again and remind yourself. Now, if you don't mind, Samet, I wanted to ask one more question that came to my mind when I was hearing Brother Sami speak. Now, as your position as a CIO, you're a leader. You're the head of a team. I'm not sure if it's in the hundreds or the thousands, but I know you have a big team that you have to look after. And obviously, as a leader, it's very important for you to be very strong during these times so that everyone else can follow suit. Now, I'm not sure if everyone, is leaders in the companies that they're in, but I'm sure even in the family household, even between the friends, even, even at work, there may be leaders watching this video conference call. What are some attributes that we must uphold if we are a leader, if we're an example, and how can we pursue this without being, swayed into different ways? Is there anything that you can draw upon in regards to this question?
Sure. Yes, I'm part of the executive of Bupa, and we have 22,000 people working in the organization. And in my team alone, there's more than 1,000 people. When this kind of times comes, people naturally worried about for their health, about their income. This is the unknown, what will happen next? And keeping them informed is extremely critical. So what we do is we continuously feed them what's happening, what's next, what that means for them, try to give them some assurance, but also not fake hopes, also telling them the truth. These are the possible outcomes, and let's prepare together. What will they about that? So that's one thing. And the second thing comes with the care factor for each specific team leader, team manager to look after their team members and their colleagues, how they are doing. Because some people live alone in their home, so they don't have interaction day by day with others. The only interaction is a transactional level of meetings, which you don't really able to get that care and ask them how they're feeling, what they are going through, what sort of help they need. So this requires leaders as well as individuals for us to reaching out those individuals, what they are going through. Like think about the old people. They can't go out, it's very dangerous for them. In Turkey, it's forbidden, anyone over 65. Like so many people struggling. Some people, religious people, used to go to the mosque. It's a great social environment for them. They don't have it now. They are at home all the time, which is really depressing by itself. So we really need to think the people around us, not only the professional life at work, but as an individual in the community, who else might be struggling because of this new rhythm, and how can I reach out these people? So I strongly encourage my brothers and sisters thinking their relatives in Turkey, their friends in the society or in Australia, and call them. Just make a phone call. Just ask them, how are you doing? How is your day? Is there anything I can do for you? Maybe doing shopping for them, etc. But even asking how are they feeling is a big help. One of the research shows, like a simple Alexa or the Google Home kind of devices in the aged care homes, asking the individual that, how are you today? One simple question, it reduces loneliness feeling is 30%.
Wow.
And think about, you are reaching out to someone and asking that, how are you? What can I do for you? It is a great, probably pleasure. Allah Ta'ala will be really pleased with you based on your intention, but also big help to those individuals who doesn't have that daily interaction with others. Same for home, like even at the home, because sometimes we forget it because we're always together. Not like you greet people, specify how they are doing, how they are feeling. So separate your working time, study time, whatever you do. And when you return back to the family room, ask people how they are feeling, what you can do for them, etc. Because people not necessarily always express their needs. Sometimes you need to go and ask, you need to try to feel, you need to make the environment enjoyable, happy, give them hope. Same for as a leader, like we do lots of calls, informing them, and not just telling them, but asking them how they're feeling, what are the challenges, what are the good practices they have, so others listen, and everyone sort of helping each other to get this period, not worrying too much, but more about what they can do, focus on that. Especially as a Muslim, we know that everything is part of qadar, and you can run away about it. It's more about accepting this from Allah Ta'ala. I'll do my best, I'll leave the results to Allah Ta'ala. So this should be our approach.
Definitely, definitely. So I just pulled out a couple of points from what you said. We should sort of be the team leader within our families, is what you're trying to instill. So be the team leader within your family, and then the wider community as well. So this coming from obviously a CIO of Bupa Australia and New Zealand, it tells you a lot of things, because you've drawn a professional value from your work, and you've placed it like within your family or within the community that you're in as well, and you utilize that attribute within your family and the community as well, which is pretty amazing as well. Also, another thing, again, coming from a CIO, you're obviously really busy during your work period, and saying that, you know, utilize your free time period. You know, coming from someone whose workload it sounds like it's pretty crazy. I think I took something upon myself. I'm not a CIO or CEO or whatnot of a big company, so that means I should have more time than what you have, and I'm definitely not utilizing it enough. So I think that's a point that I drew personally for myself, and I thank you for that as well.
Yeah, look, I appreciate your comments, but doesn't
Yeah.
matter what's your title, what's your role.
Definitely.
We're all busy. We all have responsibilities.
Yeah.
We all have a lot to do in life.
Definitely.
Again, it's more about balancing it out. So regardless of the COVID situation, sometimes we are too much captured by work, by success, forgetting that the success is actually getting the Allah Ta'ala's pleasure.
Definitely.
If Allah Ta'ala happy with us, that's the success. Otherwise, getting a higher score in school, more money, or a better position in professional life, it's definitely not a success at all.
Of course, yes.
It's
Definitely.
more about getting the right balance in life.
Definitely.
So if anything, this time allows us to really understand our priorities and get it right, correct? Because when you continue on the way you're continuing, sometimes you're led astray with your priorities, like which one was actually important for you. But now that you have that, okay, hold up, I don't have work. If I was to sit down and evaluate what's important for me, I do realize that like health is, how important is health? Probably didn't realize this. Now I can walk, 5 times a day, and I just feel good about myself because I had this time to walk 5 times a day and look after my health. So from what you're saying and what Samet was continuing on, is the fact that we can get our priorities straight now. I think it's a great time
Definitely.
to really evaluate,
And what I would suggest, linked to that point, Baturhan, is list what matters for you in life. A couple of points. And then do your weekly or monthly, you can decide your checks. What are you planning to do and what you have done since your last checkpoint? For instance, it might be, first thing is your iman and your religious life. That might be number 1 for you. Number 2 might be maybe your health. Like as in an airplane, they said, put the air mask on you before your kids, because if you are healthy, you can look after them as well. So your health maybe is the second big thing. The third thing might be your family. The fourth thing might be your professional life, your study, etc. And you can put those things for yourself. Depends on what matters for you. And then you can say, you know what, I'm really weak on reading Quran. I'll read at least once a week, maybe 1 Yasin or reading 1 page, etc. And let's say your checkpoint is once a week, then the next week you can check, have I done it? It's a reminder for you. Or from the health perspective, I definitely aim every day, half an hour walk, etc. You can do your checks. If you do it daily, it's much more effective, but if you cannot, even do it weekly. And also part of your longer journey, it's not just tactical things, but long-term. Let's say, actually, I want to come to that position. I want to be an expert on X, Y, Z, whatever your passion. Then you can plan it. For me to be there, I have to learn A, B, C, and this is my plan. So that you can check that am I on track? Because time passed so quickly, you still think that I'll do this, I'll learn this, blah, blah, but you don't do these checkpoints. Then you realize that another 6 months pass and you still haven't done anything about it. So I think these kind of simple tactics are very important. Actually, it comes from Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Rasulullah suggests us that before you ask yourself. Before you go to the grave and getting those questions over there, you check yourself, what I have done for Allah Ta'ala, for the religion. Am I on the right track or not? If you do it, then you'll sort of correct yourself. And I think this COVID situation is another opportunity to fix and correct ourselves, because Allah Ta'ala never does anything without a reason. Yes. Some like ridiculous claims, some maybe valid claims, that people putting lots of theories, or this is intentional, human beings created, or God created to punish, etc. But when you see that, who is impacted by that? Even the innocent babies, innocent old people, etc. Not necessarily bad people just punish, but the humanity may be punished out of that. And if you don't mind, I also want to share like some of the lessons out of what we experienced. This want to share with you. It's not necessarily I come up with these things. I was also reading and listening some of the scholars, etc. And here are a couple of things from, and I'm sure you can add many others, and we all can add many things in this list. But maybe the first thing is being humble and being our position. Yeah. We are talking about the superpower of China is growing, and the US is superpower, and the Europe, this and that. And what you are seeing, that the smallest creature, a virus, you can only see it in an electron microscope. That means only after 10,000 times it gets bigger, you can see it. Forget about its functions, etc. So such a small thing Allah Ta'ala created can knock down all the superpowers, can shut down the whole world. So this is a reminder for us, we are really nothing compared to Allah Ta'ala's power and all the ilm, all the science Allah Ta'ala has. We are nothing. So this is what that means. When you say Subhanallah, means you are great. You are great on everything. There's nothing missing at your side, but we have that missing parts. We are so vulnerable. Even you think we are great on like science, the health, the artificial intelligence, etc. Nothing works in this case. So that should be our number one lesson. So we always think that regardless of my title, my money, my success, how I look, exactly, I'm nothing. Only Allah is great. That's one thing. The second thing is we lost so many things in life that we used to do, like going to a restaurant, going to daily prayer, doing something just natural, like going to a park just to take your kids with you. We can't do anything about it. And then you realize that how big they were in your life and how much we're complaining about our job, about our environment, and we forgot to appreciate what actually we have. So we always have to be grateful. We always have to be grateful what we have, because this is what Allah determined to have us, and we should just enjoy it rather than complaining, etc. And this example shows us life is not permanent. Things can be taken from us immediately. This is just a very small example, but when we die, you lose all of them. Today, without dying, we lost many things we used to do. Definitely. The other thing is this racism, some nations better than others, etc. But this virus doesn't care you are rich, poor, your color, your race, your religion. We all equal human beings. Yes. Nothing separates us other than the taqwa, which is our closeness to Allah Ta'ala, the place. That's the only difference for human beings. Nothing else can. Just remembering that again, and don't think as I'm disadvantaged because I'm coming from this background, I'm not that knowledgeable. Nothing matters. Only your taqwa matters. The other thing is the experiences we have in this life is not an indication of success or happiness, because this dunya is not an indication of Allah Ta'ala loves you or not, because whatever Allah gives you, part of your imtihan, sometimes calamity comes, sometimes other things comes, but everything is just part of your test. So don't assessing yourself or your situation based on your success, your status. This is again reminding us we all equal, everyone at home, rich, poor, etc. Of course. The other thing is the iman. So believing in the qadar and linked to the iman. Like the Hazrat Umar's example, running from one qadar off to another one. And whatever we meet, just appreciate part of the test and just do whatever you need to do. And the last point I want to say is, which is a very important saying from Rasulullah, is do not leave today's job to tomorrow, because tomorrow might be too late. You haven't done so many things and you delay. It was in your note, it was a reminder, exactly. Now you can do it, because that door is closed. Maybe you are thinking going to Hajj, and every year you are just delaying. Next year I'll go after I finish this job, after I earn this money, etc. All right, now you're going. You can't. Even you have the money, you have the health, everything, you cannot. Allah Ta'ala shut down that door for this year. You cannot do it. So whatever you can do right now, just do it.
Yes.
And that's one of the reasons. And the other hadith says the time, your health, etc. is very valuable for you. So when you have the opportunity, do whatever you can, because it might be taken from you. So I think there are lots of learnings we can just call out.
Definitely. You've also raised a really good point, just your last point as well. You know, do what you have to do now. Now, you know how we always have that notion where, you know, how do we know that this is not going to be our last Ramadan that we're gonna come to? And it's not necessarily, you know, passing away or dying or whatnot. It's also like, for example, you know, none of us now most likely can't go to Teravih prayers, for example. So
Yeah.
how did we know, like how could we know that the next Ramadan we're not going to be able to pray Teravih at the mosque, for example? So we couldn't reach that. We didn't have that opportunity this year. Inshallah we have it. Inshallah we have it this year. Or if we can't, inshallah we have it the year after. But now you look back and say, I wish I went to those Teravihs that I missed at the mosque, because now the opportunity is gone for me.
Yeah.
So
you remind me something. You know the itikaf, just
yes.
like locking yourself either at mosque or at home for the prayer reasons. You can even change your niyat, your intention. This Ramadan, actually I'm in itikaf. I'm putting a couple of extra praise around it. Like I'll read one page of Quran, part of that. I'll do an extra praise, my past praise, exactly. I missed that. And with the itikaf niyat, you might be getting the much more bonus points while you are doing the exact same thing, just staying at home. But just change your intention and your approach. Things start playing differently.
Of course. Very, very interesting point. Baturhan, did you have anything to bring up about this?
I know we're coming to an end, and I'm really sad because it's been really great. I had a lot of fun having Brother Samet on the show, and I love speaking to Brother Samet. There's always so much knowledge. And personally, I want to draw upon the main thing that I got out of this, like personally. I know it appeals to people in different ways, and also maybe like dot point a few things, some points that I took out. The first one is, for me personally, is routine. So when Brother Samet talked about routine, he said, don't break it. Regardless of what's happening, you can maintain that routine. If you wake up at 7:30 to go to work, wake up at 7:30 to go to work. Now, personally, I'm a victim of this because I broke my routine ever since this thing started. So that's one of the biggest things that I have learned from the discussion today. And also, obviously, I did talk about this, but prioritizing, understanding our blessings, really drawing upon, you know, other stories that was mentioned by Brother Sami on, you know, qadar, and how control what you can control. Don't focus on controlling what you can't. So whatever you can in your own life, control that and work accordingly. But you're not going to, like, I'm not going to find the cure for coronavirus tomorrow. So I can't sit down and just complain that there's a virus going on. So I can just draw upon my own life and focus on what I can change. So I think that's some of the greatest points that I got out of this. Now, just to add a little entertainment, on my Facebook, there was this guy that continued coming up as an advertisement, and he'd say, hey, you, do you know how many books the average CEO reads? And it's like, oh, he reads 52 books a year. And I was just thinking, there's a bookshelf right behind you during this video call. Is there, you look like you're, it wasn't just a stereotype. I don't think it was just a joke. It is real, I think, from what I'd said. And the second thing is, interesting enough, I think I can benefit from this as well. Is there any book that you may suggest? I know I'm putting you a bit onto the spot now, but is there any book that you may suggest during this time, since we can all just buy it online? And
okay, look, Look, obviously, whatever you read should be meeting your needs and your interests. Then you will enjoy it. There is really nothing I can think of straightforward. But I suggest in general, rather than a specific book, it's more like a topic. If you haven't read The Life of Prophet Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, I strongly suggest just pick whatever you want, one of them, and read end to end. This will really help you what sort of life he went through and what's the logic of the religion. Because some of the books, like Martin Link's is one of the best one, telling Rasulullah's life. It's also tell the story of how the ayats came one by one, how they treated that, how it changed their life, etc. Because sometimes, and today's learning practice turned to just watching videos, which is great. This is how we consume, how we learn today. That's perfect to find. But none of them tell you end-to-end story. Sometimes reading Qurans, going to the reference sites, complete the whole picture for you. So I suggest you get one of the book and read Rasulullah's life end to end. And if you haven't read it, also read the Quran end to end with a language you can understand. Turkish, English, Arabic, doesn't matter, but whatever it is. It's not about you try to be a tafsir alim or something else, just you to read end to end with a plain thinking, with a plain English, Turkish, etc. You will get a lot of it. Because as you put effort to understand Quran will open itself to you. It's a magical book, nothing like other books. As your intention is clean, as you put the effort, Quran will tell you more and more. So these are my probably suggestions to do this. And maybe one of my last point will be, Shaitan is with us all the time. Devil with us all the time. Try to trick us in terms of this free time doing wrongdoings as well. And also between wives and husband and the family members, etc., trying to find reasons to frustrate each other and making small things is a big deal. Because as you spend more time, it's a risk of having more conflict. So we shouldn't be also trapped by that. First of all, checking what we are doing. Am I on track? Am I doing wrong things, etc.? Identifying what are they you need to avoid and make sure you are avoiding. And your relationship at home, don't let you frustrating anyone, but also don't make things big deal. Just communicate nicely, try to fix things, be more tolerant, because everyone's stressed enough. Being at home is hard enough, not going out, not socializing, etc. This is also a very, very real test for relationships. We already seeing lots of family violence, significant increases happening across the world. As a Muslim, we have to be very careful, like as a husband, who are the best of you, whoever are the best to your wives. Who are the best person, whoever best to mothers, your fathers, etc., your children. So we have to be very careful not to be trapped as this, you are spending 24 hours under one roof and don't get these small frustrations, small things makes a big deal and ruining your relationship because there's nowhere to go out and it's your personal responsibility. You personally showing the sabr, showing the tolerance. And as the Rasulullah ﷺ says, even you are right on a conflict, on a situation, you to take one step back and let others to win and then just tolerate the situation with nicely means you will be the winner. And actually Allah Ta'ala promised you a big house in the middle of the Jannat. Actually the promise is not the house itself. If you think about it, that's the promise for Jannat actually. Exactly, because yes, you'll be in that homes. So you can earn, it's hard maybe reading Quran, getting tahajjud and lots of other stuff, but it's so easy just to show the sabr and your tolerance, your patience, being nice to your family, and you can win the Jannah, heaven. Like such a beautiful religion, as well as introducing happiness in life to you as well. So lots of things. So just be careful what's happening in your daily life.
Allah razı olsun. Thanks so much. Just one last thing I just want to say, very important as well. Like you said, for example, now that we are inside, we miss the things outside at this point in time. But once we do get back out there, we will also miss the time we had here as well. So just as much as we value what we left behind outside, once we do get outside, we will also realize the value of, staying with your family 24/7, you know, being with your children, your wife, you know, your parents, you know, 24/7, working from home, whatnot. So I think valuing this now, knowing the importance of this now, is going to be the exact same of how you value now the outside as well.
Absolutely. Very good point. Very good point. I also want to remind everyone that reach out a friend as a coach, as well as you're helping them. Ask them what they are doing, their experiences, how they're feeling, and ask them what they are learning, what are things and techniques they are using. And you try to learn as well as share your own learnings, your own experiences, or reach out to each other. Don't. We need this more than ever. It doesn't happen anymore accidentally in a Friday prayer or in a work. Exactly, you have to put extra effort and put this effort with a good intention, and then you will also get extra bonus points for that approach.
Inshallah.
Inshallah.
Others, I would like to thank you both for joining this discussion. Brother Sami Yalavac, Allah Razulson, thank you so much for accepting our invitation to join our heart-to-heart session. Inshallah, we'll have you more often speaking to the community and the youth that watch us and follow us. And Brother Baturhan, I thank you as well for joining our discussion. I would like to end the discussion here with your permission. Allah Razulson and Assalamu alaikum to
Thank
all
you very much. Selamun alaikum, and please don't forget the dua as well, and inshallah make dua for each other, and inshallah we'll pass this through together. Thank you very much.
Inshallah. Thanks so much. We appreciate it.